Chelsea still have a lot of players to sell before the end of the window, which is literally in 2 weeks' time. And word is coming out that players on the for sale list for this window are valued up to nearly £500 million, with Pedro Neto most recently being valued at £100 million. This is wild. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And today, we're talking about the outgoings that need to happen, and a list that has come out with the players that we need to sell, the players that there is supposed interest in, and our valuation for these players. So without further ado, let's take a look at the news and see what's going on in the world of Chelsea today. Right, so this stuff is wild, man. So Chelsea Dodgers posted this. Chelsea valuations that we know. Enzo, 120 million plus. So already, that's a minimum of 120, right? The whole thing that's going on with the 5 o'clock deadline or whatever, supposedly that was amount that was agreed with Enzo's camp to say, if before that 5 o'clock deadline, before the window even started, they agreed this, if someone comes in with 120 mil, you can go, supposedly, albeit, I will say Chelsea did literally say, if no one comes in with this bid, then Enzo stays, but then the news changed very quickly to, that was just for the 120 mil. Chelsea will still consider offers, but they are now in control of how much it is. So it was kind of like a release clause, right? Like a gentleman's agreement release clause. 120 mil before that Friday 5 o'clock deadline would have got the deal over the line, but now it could well be even more than that, depending on whether Man City are willing to stump up the cash. Nicholas Jackson, we've seen kind of conflicting amounts. 65 mil has been touted quite a lot. 60 mil seems to be the amount as well at the moment that we're seeing around quite a lot. Mostly Aston Villa links, to be completely honest. Now, I genuinely feel like that one's got the most legs to it, if not only because of the Morgan Rogers deal. It feels like that we wouldn't have just dropped 117 mil on Morgan Rogers without offsetting some of that cost with a player sale. So I do find that one particularly interesting. But Atletico Madrid have also been credited with an interest in Nicholas Jackson, so we'll see what happens with that one. Malagusto, 75 mil. That's been relatively consistent, albeit quite recently there's been links to Liverpool as well, and supposedly we'd be willing to take less money for Liverpool for some reason, or it's just about getting the sale over the line at the end of the day, isn't it? But yeah, 60 to we'll say 75 mil for Malagusto. Neto, look, we're going to get into this a little bit more in the tweets in a minute, but we're just going to go through this list first. 100 mil for Neto. Wild stuff. Liam Delap, it came out a few days ago that we want 50, but that has also gone down yesterday. Like, we'd seen that Chelsea would be willing to take 40 mil if he wants to go to Nottingham Forest. Axel Disasi, 25 million pounds, which, look, again, we've seen so many different numbers. 17 mil was touted earlier in the season, and Mark Yu, also 25 million pounds. This is just showing you how mental the market is, because when you add all of these up just with the figures that are here, it's £455 million we want for these 7 players. Like, that's crazy. That's absolute crazy amounts of money. And these are ones that we'll see money for this season as well, because, look, we've been doing some deals. Benoit Badiashile and Alejandro Garnacho could net us around £70 million at the beginning of next season. And I actually genuinely think that kind of thing is quite smart business. Because, look, we've got a list of 7 players that Chelsea want to make 400 million. Let's call it 400 million and be generous. But Chelsea want to make 400 million pounds plus for this list of 7 players that we will sell in this window. So I actually kind of respect the hustle where there's no need to try and squeeze Napoli for a permanent sale now if they're willing to come back at the end of the window with that 27 plus 3 mil add-ons. Same sort of thing for Alejandro Garnacho, because what that is going to do is give us a little kitty at the start of next season or the start of the next window, the start of the next summer, before we've sold a player, before we've bought a player, if Axel Disasi goes on one of these deals as well, but we could end up with 70 million plus already ready to spend. And the interesting thing about that, if you think about it, that's kind of what would a good sponsorship deal would be, isn't it? So, guys, I just want to know what you think about that. I just think it's wild, man. It's like, it seems wild mostly because we've left it so late. We've already made 125 mil by selling Tyreek George for 25 mil, Cucurella for 50 mil to Real Madrid, and obviously Andre Santos to Man United as well for 50 mil. And so we've already made a decent chunk of change, but it just does seem unusual, doesn't it, that with all of these incomings that we've brought in, we've left it this late. Now, I kind of figured it was going to be, some of them were going to be left late because of the very nature of Xabi Alonso coming in a World Cup year. That's a difficult thing as well, isn't it? Because the likes of Jackson, the likes of Neto, Enzo Fernandez, like a few of these guys, Xabi Alonso would have been really keen to take a look at and decide whether he desperately wants to try and convince him to stay or not. Evidently, that's not been the case because these guys have been put on the list, so to speak, and we are leaving it really, really late. So, guys, I want to know what you think about this list. Do you think that all of these players go? Like, Enzo, I've just got a feeling it's going to happen. Jackson, I've got a feeling it's going to happen. Gusto, I'm not so sure about. He looked really good when he came on against Real Sociedad in the preseason, and it's a lot of money for him, do you know what I mean? Neto it's felt like for a little while, and do you know what, not even for a little while, I've actually been saying for, oh God, it must be 4 or 5 months now, with the advent of Giovanni Kenda coming in, you know, Esteval Willian expected to play a bigger role. This is before we moved to wing-backs, by the way, but I just had this feeling that Pedro Neto was going to get sold because he was the most saleable asset that we had in the massive list of left-footed right-wing players that we've got. So I've kind of felt like this one's been on for a while. Oh, Trevor Chalobah as well, by the way, another player that we sold 30 mil. So yeah, 150 mil right now. Sorry, that one just came to me. Liam Delap, yes, I think it will happen. Do I think it will be for 50? I don't know. Disassi, hopefully, but I've got a feeling that that's going to end up being one of these loan to obligation buy sort of thing. And Mark Gue for 25 mil. Weird one. Mark Gue's not been included in the squad at all since the beginning of the window, but we've clearly been trying to sell him. So guys, let me know what you think about, are all of these valuations fair based on the crazy market? We're going to get into Pedro Neto specifically in a minute, but I just want to know what you think about this list. And do you think that we could literally make nearly 400 mil plus by the end of the window in the next 2 weeks by selling the majority of these players? And guys, if you've made it this far into today's episode of the Stamford Sync, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Right, so quite specifically now, I want to spend a little time talking about Pedro Neto because the news has dropped that apparently we value him at £100 million. Right, this stuff is absolutely wild, man, but here it is. So, Chelsea Dodgers posted this via Kieran Gill. We'll start with basically where all the news has come from and get into the price. Links to Al Hilal have increased for Pedro Neto amid reports that personal terms have been privately struck with the Saudi club. Neto's reps have not responded to a request for comment about those claims. So that kind of tells you that it's the agreement has happened at least, because if there was no agreement with Al Hilal, then Pedro Neto's, you know, would to try and keep him a bit more open to, you know, obviously he was linked to Tottenham, Man City, Liverpool, like he's been linked to a lot of places. If there was no agreement with Al Hilal, then his agents would have come out and been like, yeah, no, there's no agreement yet. He's a Chelsea player at the moment, but you know, anything can happen in football. That's the one they love saying, isn't it? So the Al Hilal talks are definitely happening. They seem to be heating up. We've seen reports saying that they're going to happen as soon as this week. Well, I say as soon as this week. There's only 2 weeks left in the window. But let's have a little look at the money, man, because this stuff is getting crazy. Chelsea Dodgers posted this also via Kieran Gill on Chelsea's near £100 million Pedro Neto valuation. Chelsea insiders have felt wingers are a commodity this summer after tracking the sales of others, such as Diamande, who went to Madrid for up to £120 million. Barcola, PSG's obviously Bradley Barcola, is also valued by £100 million plus at PSG. So we're not talking about the same thing though, are we? This is the thing, like, okay, so Bradley Barcola, they want like 150 mil for, I think. Vinny Jr. is another one that when there was that brief flirtation with Arsenal before he decided to commit, has he committed to Real Madrid? Yeah, but it looks like he's staying there either way. 150 mil. They wanted for Vinny Jr. and he's only got 1 year left on his deal, by the way. Absolutely crazy stuff. And yeah, Diamande to Real Madrid, 120 mil for a relatively young player who's only played in the Bundesliga as well. So I feel like with those guys, we're talking about more mercurial talents than we are with Pedro Neto. Like, Pedro Neto is a really, really good player, don't get me wrong. Like, he's been phenomenal in the last 2 games that we've played against, not last 2, but when he's played against AC Milan and Real Sociedad, he's been really, really, really good. Absolutely can't take that away from him at all. But I don't put him in the same bracket as the likes of a Diamande and a Bradley Barcola. Do you know what I mean? These mercurial attacking players that, you know, like, I don't think anyone's worth this money that anyone's talking about. But when you compare the likes of Vinny Jr., Barcola, and Diamande to a Neto feels much more functional. So I guess the thing is, if anyone but Al Hilal were to come in for Pedro Neto, it probably wouldn't be 100 mil, would it? Like, Man City are not paying 100 mil for Pedro Neto. They were already unhappy at the 80 million, the 70 to 80 million that we were talking about, saying that we were overvaluing him. So no Premier League club's going to pay 100 mil for Pedro Neto. But Saudi being Saudi, man, they just got the money to splash around, haven't they? And Al Hilal have spent already 80 mil. This is another thing as well. 80 mil on Crescencio Somerville of West Ham. So when you think about that at the end of the day, like, I would rate Pedro Neto above Crescencio Somerville for the professionalism, the work rate, the international chops with Portugal, a bit of Champions League experience. So yeah, I guess when you put it through that wild filter, there is some world where Pedro Neto is worth 100 mil, but it's just going crazy, man, isn't it? It's just going crazy. Like, money is sloshing around in football absolutely everywhere, and it's just getting out of control. Just to finish up on this one, Chelsea Dodgers also posted this via Bobby Vincent, saying Chelsea are not actively looking to sell Pedro Neto, but will discuss a deal if the price is right. Said price has been described by sources as close to the £100 million mark due to the inflated market for wingers at the time of writing. So look, the market is just wild, isn't it? Because albeit he's not an archetypal winger, we paid £117 million for Morgan Rogers. The midfield market as well was kind of kicked off this season with the likes of Elliot Anderson and Sandro Tonali going for 100 mil plus to cross Premier League teams. So it just feels like this is the hardest window to actually judge, because what you normally do is you look at what's going on around in the market, and there is some sort of way to say, yeah, okay, cool, this guy's worth this and this guy's worth this. But when you think about like other positions and stuff, like we got Maxence Lacroix for 50 mil, which seems like a pretty good deal when you consider Tottenham got Van Hecker for 50 mil and he only had 1 year left on his contract. So it's obviously like strikers last year was the thing as well, wasn't it? This window definitely seems to feel like wingers and midfielders are like the big ticket items. Do you know what I mean? The big ticket items that the money's getting sloshed around for. But this world where Pedro Neto is worth £100 million just seems absolutely wild. And like I say, the thing is, it's only there because the buyers are available. If there was no Saudi Arabia, not no Saudi Arabia, but like no Saudi Arabian football coming in and spending all this money on all of these players, a little while ago, I say a little while ago, guys, like a decade ago now, it was China. China were doing like a huge amount to increase their kind of grassroots football footprint, and they were trying to do it by bringing in lots of really expensive players. I can't remember his first name, but they used Graziano Pele, was it? Is a Southampton player who had like a couple of okay seasons at Southampton, was on like 600 grand a week or something in China. Oscar, obviously from our own crop, ended up staying in China for a really, really long time. And that all kind of fell apart, and then, it kind of went quiet until Saudi Arabia come back out, and all of a sudden, bang, bang, bang. And we've done good dealings with Saudi Arabia already. We sold João Felix last year when we were struggling with Benfica, who seemed like the only club that were interested in him. We were trying to get, I think, 25 mil for João Felix, and they were like, no, we want to pay less than that. And then I think it was Al Nassr, was it? Because does he not play on the same team as Cristiano Ronaldo? Come in and like, here's 42 mil, like out of nowhere, and it's like, yeah, sweet, cool. And he's obviously happy because he goes goes and gets to play with Ronaldo. I think he won either their best player of the season or best player in the league or something last year as well. So over there he's doing all right. But they were just like, yeah, bang, here you go. And for us, it's like wicked. So the question whether Pedro Neto is worth 100 mil is kind of superfluous at the end of the day, because is he worth 100 mil to the team that wants to buy him? I guess we'll find out very, very shortly. But guys, I just think this whole thing is wild. Like, do you think there's a world where we could get like £100 million for Neto? What do we think about the market? Do we think that this market is indicative of the way things are going to be going forward? This is something I really think is important to talk about as well. I want to know if you guys think that the market is ruined now, essentially. Is 100 mil the new 50 mil? Or is this kind of like it was with the Neymar situation, where Neymar to 200 mil plus to PSG destroyed the market, and then it kind of started self-correcting a little bit over the next few years? But this window in particular just seems to have gone absolutely wild. There's a lot of 100 million signings that have gone very, very quickly. Like, there was a few last season, the most notable I think being Isaac to Liverpool for 125 mil was the Premier League's highest ever transfer, I think. But now that all of a sudden, that just seems like chump change. Not chump change, do you know what I mean? Because it's still a huge amount of money. But guys, I want to know what you think about the market. Is the market being destroyed? Is there anything we can do about it? Is there anything that the regulators can do about it? Or is it too late and football is just becoming Moneyball for the future? So guys, I'm going to start wrapping the video up there, but I want to know what you think about everything that we've talked about today, because it is all just a little bit mental, isn't it? We want 400 million plus for 7 players. That's Enzo Fernandez for 120 mil, Pedro Neto for 100 mil, Malo Gusto for 75 mil, Nicholas Jackson for 60 mil, Axel Disasi for 25 mil, Mark Yu for 60 mil. No, sorry, not 60 mil, 25 mil as well. These numbers just seem like they're a little bit crazy, but is it Chelsea taking advantage of knowing that there's lots of clubs in the last 2 weeks that are going to want players? Axel Disasi, like I say, for me, I think he's just going to end up on a loan with an obligation to buy. But if that doesn't happen, we'll get, I think, probably 20 mil from West Ham for him at the end of the day, because that's kind of already agreed that if Axel Disasi can't find another move, which he would like to, then he's going to go to West Ham in the Championship for a season. So yeah, just absolutely crazy stuff. And tell me what you think about Pedro Neto for £100 million. Like I say, is this just indicative? Is this just where we are now? Is money... Does it just not mean anything in football anymore? Do you not even have to be close to being one of the best players in the league to go for one of the biggest prices? Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I'll catch up with you all very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.